Hi guys, Miss Carico here, and we are going to be doing our day 3 of our seeds. Now, depending on what type of seeds you're using, you might be seeing some different things than what I'm seeing, but eventually you should be seeing the same things. So what you're going to need for this is, of course, your seeds. I pulled all the ones from the light, and also all the seeds from the dark. And I've already started to notice some differences in the ones that were grown in dark and the ones grown in light. One of the biggest things is that there's a lot more condensation on the ones in the light. A lot of water droplets and condensed water vapor. And my theory for that is because the sunlight comes to the window and heats up the bag and creates a humid environment in here and makes the water evaporate into the bag. So that's why it's important that we keep the bag closed throughout the whole experiment, except for when we're taking them out to observe them, because we don't want to mess up the what I call homeostasis of your bag. All right, so I'm going to be looking at the dark ones first. So in your sketches, you are going to need your papers, by the way. You're going to need to have two different sections. We're here, sketch. So this is going to be light, and then you're going to have dark. Alright, so whenever we look through these, we'll do our sketches. Alright, so I'm going to unwrap these. Now, I'm going to be very gentle with these. These are the lentils. I have never grown lentils before, so I'm pretty excited to see these. I'd said on our last video that this is a new thing for me. I wanted to try them. And, whoa, guys. We already have some stuff happening, so it's pretty exciting stuff. I'm going to bring the phone down a little closer so we can see them. Alright guys, we get a something just to point with. We'll use a butter knife. So if we look, we're seeing some changes. So let me pull this up a little closer. You guys see, maybe, you guys see that little tail? That's not gonna work. Let's get a little closer. You guys see these little tails on these seeds? There it goes. Those are your root, the radical root that's breaking out. So what I'm looking at is so far, when you see the roots, that means your seed is germinating, which is good. That means it's growing. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We definitely have 4 germinating. 4. Oh, there's 1. 5. Well, maybe. Yeah, 5. There's a little root right there. The seed coats are already falling off of these, which is surprising. And 6. So actually all of my lentil seeds for the dark have germinated. Now you're going to want to address that in your journal notes as well. So let's go ahead and we want to check this to make sure it's still wet. It's definitely still wet. We're going to wrap these up after we do our sketches. I'm trying to move them out of the way. Here we go. All right, prop back up. Okay. So in here, we're going to draw our lentils, which there's a round disc, and they are bigger, and they have a little tail coming out, and we want to label that as the radical root. I'm leaving room for all of my seeds in this general area, and we're going to write a description here. So in the dark, I'm going to wrap these up so they get out of the way. I'm afraid I'm going to squish them. Your workspace may be larger than mine, which is fine. Because we have those roots there, you really want to be as gentle as possible. I'm barely touching these seeds. Like I'm just barely holding them just enough to where they don't fall on the floor. Okay? Pop them back in. And they're ready to be put back into their little spot. Grab a paper towel. Down so my lab papers don't get too wet. Alright, so the lentils, 6 out of 6 germinated and show root growth. Boom. So there's our notes for that. So I just put lentil 6 out of 6 germinated plus or and show root growth. All right, let's look at our next ones. Let's look at the chickpeas. Chickpeas are the next size up. We'll go from smallest to largest. These are the ones in the dark. And guys, this is the first time I'm looking at them with you, so we both are looking at these brand new from our labs. Remember, be gentle. There may be roots in here. I'm not sure. I can't really see. Ooh, guys. The peas are growing. I'm going to shift this down. There we go. Now you guys can definitely see. All right, guys. So the lentils were a little harder to see, but if we look at these, you can definitely see that's that radical root. Now, because these are definitely growing, next thing we're going to be looking for is a little bit of something green starting to pop out of here. So if I'm looking, it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 out of 6 seeds have germinated because we have the radical roots all showing here. And the whole purpose of this radical root is to point the plant in the right direction. Sorry, guys. Leo is playing. I'm not sure what he's doing. He's doing the zoomies, so he's making a lot of noise. Okay. So 6 out of 6, and I like to think these look like snails when they first start to come out of the seed. But these are growing so rapidly that I'm definitely going to need to probably in 3 days, I'm going to have to definitely get these planted into some soil because these radical roots are so aggressive with these peas that if the radical root doesn't get down to the soil to push that seed up, it's very likely going to not make it. So if we really look at this root, see if it focuses, there it goes. You can see a little bit of the root hairs are starting to come out, but this down here, see this little tan part of this root? That is what makes that root go down with the gravity. It's weighted, and this will search and find and keep pushing down while also pushing that seed up into the surface rather of the soil. So because these are growing very rapidly, I'm going to say that we're going to need to get these planted. Depending on what stage your plants are in, if you start to see really rapid root growth like this, and we're going to wait until a little piece of the stem starts to come out, that first stem. And we're going to wait until I start to see some green on these, and we're going to plant these in the soil, because that means that I'm going to definitely need to get those planted into cups, and then we'll just transplant them into bigger and bigger cups, and eventually I'll plant them outside the apartment here. Alright, so we're going to need to sketch these. Scoot these up. And as a reminder, make sure you're being very gentle with your seeds at this point. They're very delicate. So we're going to bring a seed down. Let's use that one. I'll use that as the example. This is dark, so this is the chickpea. You're going to make sure that you get the general shape. Oops, you guys can't see. And then we have our mega big radical root coming down. There you go. Label it. And close those up. And now we're going to write about the minor chickpeas. 6 out of 6 germinated. Plus aggressive root growth. So all of the roots, the reason why I say aggressive is if we compared those lentils that only had probably at most the length of my pencil lead here of root growth, these are very big. Now what you're going to notice is the bigger plants are going to look like they're packing the biggest punch. But if we look in perspective, in ratios, those lentils, which are definitely half, if not more, smaller than these chickpeas, they definitely show about the same ratio of growth. Let's go ahead and, while I'm thinking about it, we'll compare the lentils here in a moment. But here is the original chickpea, and something that we would want to notice. This is what the original chickpeas looked like. Yeah. And these are the ones that were germinating. So you should be seeing, these are very hard. If you gently touch your seed, you'll notice that it's a little bit more mushier, definitely hydrated, and it's also twice the size of the original seed. That's all that water getting absorbed into the seed to make all the stuff on the inside grow. All right, so we're going to gently gather these all up into their groups again and very loosely wrap them. Because the roots are so huge in this one, we're going to gently wrap. Put them back in the bag. Now, once you get done with your dark ones, you want to make sure that you immediately put them back into the darkness so that they're not getting too much light. I have them over here in a shaded area of my counter. The fish lights aren't even on because our power went off. Alright, so next one, we're looking at our beans, the big kahunas. These are the ones in dark. So, I smell these before I open them too, because you can tell whether or not you might have a rotting seed in here. If you do have a rotting seed, make sure that you remove that as soon as possible so that it doesn't affect the growth of the other plants or spread the pathogen as quickly. Oh my goodness, guys. I'm sure you know what these are just by looking at them now. But we have one that's getting ready to bust forth, so it's not germinated yet. And this one just started, looks like today. Alright, so you want to separate the ones that are germinated from the ones that aren't. And I'm looking at the general properties of these seeds to make sure that it doesn't look like they're going to just rot. Looking at this one, we can see a bulge along the side right here, which tells me that there should be a radical popping out there soon. So I'm not too concerned with this one. This one, I kind of see it right here, but that one might be a seed that's not viable or might not grow. If we look at this, the radical is definitely out of the seed and is ready to find the direction of gravity and push that seed up out of the ground so that it can find its way to the surface. So if we were to compare and contrast an original seed to a seed that is germinated, again, it's twice the size of the original seed because our water just went in here and just expanded that out and really pushed it forward. So let's go ahead and get our notes put in. So one of the differences with beans is that we had 4 out of 6 germinate so far. So we're going to want to draw. You want to pick the best specimen out of all of your beans or your seeds for you to do your drawings with. Remember, our beans have this general kidney bean shape. Alright, so we're putting our radical in. Kind of cheating with my notes and just drawing arrows to all of them. And I'm going to put, I'm going to put an L next to this, CP for chickpea, and GB for garden bean, just general notes very quickly. Let's go ahead and wrap these up, and then we'll do our notes for these. Again, I'm being very gentle now, very cautiously moving them about, because if you break those roots off, those plants aren't going to grow. So you need to be very gentle with them. And if you break all the roots off, you're either going to have to restart some of your seeds, or you're just going to have to just go with it. Because these are in the dark, I'm going to go ahead and put those back into my cabinet and then we'll do our light stuff. Because the ones with the light, it doesn't matter how long we handle them, because they're supposed to be in the light. Here we go. We're on the beans. Oh, we forgot to do our notes. Hold on. So our notes for the green beans, the garden beans, is 4 out of 6 germinated, plus 100% of germinated seeds, show root growth. There you go, show root growth. Now I'm going to put a note right here and show and leave a note that says compared to day 1, seeds grew 2 times the size due to water. Okay, so here's our notes. We're going to do our light, and then we'll be done with this, and then we'll check back again on the 5th day. We are going to let these chill for 2 days, because I feel that in 2 days, at least for mine, I'm going to definitely start to see some other stuff happening. Alright, so let's get back to our light ones, after I just jumped the gun. These paper towels are really put together. Here we go. Whoa! You can definitely see, now these, some of these are definitely bigger than the other ones. If I were to compare, where's my, get a dry bean again? Back. Guys, if we compare the size, on camera you can't really see it, but me visualizing it just in real life here, you can see just how much bigger these seeds are. The ones in light, these ones are probably, looks like 3 times bigger than the original seed. Let's go through here. This one hasn't germinated yet. That one's not yet either. Here's this one. This one's a good example. Let's get it to focus. There we go. You guys see right here, the seed coat is cracking, and that's the radical root getting ready to pop out. I'm going to count this one as germinated, because I can definitely see, come on, focus. I can definitely see that radical root right here, because it is definitely popping out that seed coat. I'm going to count him. That's one of our original seeds. I'm looking through this one. I don't see any root growth popping out of there. Definitely have some radical popping out. And there's one there. Looks like I accidentally got 7 seeds in here. It's okay. We'll take one of these, and we're going to split it so that you can see what the inside of the seed looks like. We'll use that as a learning opportunity. So we only need 6. Okay. So if I were to make my notes with these, I'm definitely going to say that, again, just like before with the beans, 4 out of 6 germinated, with 4 of those showing radical root growth and the others just being dormant. So we're going to want to sketch our bean. Right. Alright, got our radical there. And if I were to write for the bean, 4 out of 6 germinated, plus 100% of germinated seeds showing root growth. Okay. Let's go ahead and gently, whoops, wrap these up. We're going to keep this one out right here because we're going to use that as a little bit of a learning opportunity. Right, so we're going to gently, notice how I'm very gentle with these. Get back into the bag. You're going to want to check them too. Like, I'm going to need to put a little bit more water in these, so I'm going to put some water in now. General rule of thumb is the paper towel should be moist with no extra water running around the bag. The ones in the light definitely, for me, need that. Let's go ahead and crack open. See if I can crack this one open. Oh yeah. So it's going along the seam here. Should pop open. There we go. See, better not call me, make me a liar. There we go. So this is one of the extra seeds. There we go. Maybe. And I am going to need to go to the window so we can see. We might not be able to see all this stuff. Come on, focus. There we go. Okay. I'm looking right here. We're going to go to the window for this. Here we go. So if you look at the top on the left, that is the radical root. But if you look right here, that is actually that little tiny baby plantlet I was telling you about. And notice how it's definitely rehydrated. So that would eventually, if I hadn't cracked the seed open, would have grown out through the seed after that radical root says, hey, I'm situated, I've pushed you up high enough, go ahead and push yourself out. And so that's really cool. I was really surprised to see that. I was afraid I was going to cut through it. But here we have an entire plant. Now all this white milky stuff, it's kind of like the egg yolk of an egg. It has all the food and nutrients that plant needs while it's inside the seed to grow. So, pretty cool. Crack him back closed. It will not grow again, but he made a good sacrifice for science. Let's go ahead and look at our lentils. See if they look any different compared to the dark. Whoa! Now, some of you might come across this. We have a root that is breaking through the paper. The feeling when we open this is going to be very aggressive. We have very aggressive root system. So I'm being very gentle with this. This might be one that we lose. But I think if I can peel this back enough, we'll be able to do surgery on the paper towel and successfully remove him out of the thing. That wasn't the right one. Whoa. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, I'm gonna have to tear the paper towel. Really don't want to break his root. Okay. There we go. Whew. That was close, guys. Alright, so already you guys should be able to notice the fact that these seeds are definitely further along than the ones in the dark. We do have one seed that did not germinate. Well, no, I take that back. He's just not as far along. It's got a little radical popping. But here is that green I was talking about. So we have a radical here. Focus, please. We have a radical popping out. But if we look right here, that is the plant popping out of the seed. And so our first little leaflets or cotyledons are popping out as well, and there's the stem. I'm going to have to, I'm not sure with these ones if they're going to make it much longer in this paper towel because they're so much further along. I'm going to give them just today, for them to sprout a little bit more, and then I'm going to have to plant these into some soil. So I'm going to have to make a quarantine run for some soil from the Dollar General. So we can see all of them have those. This one has a better example of those cotyledons. There we go. Right here we see the root that I'm holding onto very gently, and then we see a little tiny leaflets popping right there. So it's pretty exciting. So I would say definitely they're further along than the others, and also this is the first lentils I've ever grown, so I'm pretty excited about that. Alright, let's go ahead and draw them. Remember, they're round, and they have the radical coming out, but then our others, they have the little plant coming out. Plant. There we go. So if I were to write in my description for lentils, 5. Oh no, I said the other one had roots. 6 out of 6 germinated, plus root growth and on all those. We definitely have some room. Ooh. They're a little smaller for the chickpea, but there's our notes. And let's go ahead and gently wrap these up, especially if you start seeing heavy root growth. You really need to be gentle because these will snap very easily. I'm thinking tomorrow we're going to have a video, our first video on how to plant these. So we're definitely seeing seeds are larger. The growth, at least on the lentils, is more aggressive than the ones in the dark. And for me, that might just be, if I was to hypothesize, the fact that usually smaller seeds are planted at a shallower depth, so they require more light to peek through. So I think perhaps that has to do with that. So let's go ahead and look at our chickpeas. Remember, being very gentle. There we go. Now these ones aren't growing as well as the others. We have, that one has a radical barely poking out. We have 100% germination, but the root growth isn't as aggressive as those others. So we're going to go ahead and sketch our chickpeas and move them up on the plate. Pick your best one, or just the one that does a good average of all your other seeds. So this one shows a decent amount of root growth compared to the others. It even has a little curly Q, which I think is cute. So we're going to draw him in. Right, and we have a little curly Q root. Alright, so remember guys, 6 out of 6. I'm going to wrap these up. Now the lentils were still wet, but these ones definitely need some water. They were thirsty in their growing process. There we go. And do our notes for the chickpea. 6 out of 6 germinated. And plus a little root growth. I would say they're about probably a day behind these ones with sprouting. And these lentils, definitely compared to the others, kind of feel like I need to fix this. It doesn't adequately represent the aggressiveness of those radical roots. There we go. There we go. So we had a lot more aggressive root growth in the lentils and the light so far. And we even have the little cotyledons coming out. The beans, they were about the same. The chickpeas were smaller than these. And so we're starting to see some differences. And if we were to put here, lentils will need planted day 4 in soil. Just as a side note for what we're going to have to do tomorrow. So these are our notes, guys. I'm really excited to see if you can take pictures, send them to me, comment below the video to tell me how your plants are doing. Really excited to see how they're doing and to see how this lab is going to go. But I'm sure those that are doing this definitely have something happening in those bags, and you're seeing some really awesome plant growth. So there will be another video today later for our stuff on flowers for you to watch in your spare time about different types of flowers, plants in spring. We're going to look at trees and shrubs and individual flowers, and we're just going to have a really good little plant stroll, so to speak. So, thanks, guys. I hope you're staying safe and healthy, and I will tune in later. Miss you.